Hello and welcome back to Ironbark Benny's, your one-stop shop for all things blues, booze and barbecues. I'm Ironbark Benny and today we're cooking pork ribs. You know it. So stick around, we're going to show you how to get them trimmed up, we're going to get them seasoned, we're going to get some smoke on them, we're going to get them nice, juicy and tender, and then later on we're going to be tasting them. So we've got today pairing these with Mum's world famous potato salad. You guys are going to love that one. A nice little chipotle slaw with some smoked corn, and to wash it all down, a Whisky Manhattan. So stick around, this is going to be a good one. Well, welcome out to the pit. Today I'm going to be cooking these ribs on the brand new Weber Master Touch. It's a new arrival to my fleet and I can't wait to get it fired up. So to start with here, I'm just going to remove the grill grate from the barbecue, set that aside. You can see this Master Touch has got an additional smoking deflector sitting down here, so I'm going to take that out as well. And you might be able to see there, but I've got the smoker ring installed into this Weber. I'm going to leave that in because that's going to help me set up for the snake method. So to set up for the snake method, I'm going to drop a couple of handfuls of charcoal evenly all the way around the outside of my smoking ring here on the Weber. I won't go all the way around the outside, it'll just be about a half of the circle, and that's going to easily give me 4 or 5 hours of burn time on this barbecue. I absolutely love the snake method. I've taught this method to a number of people. I'll be shooting a special video on this probably next week, and it's my secret to bring you from zero to barbecue hero in about a week. You can do anything on this once you've mastered the snake. You can smoke briskets, you can smoke pork butts, you can do ribs, and you can keep that barbecue temperature locked in for 10 or 12 hours easily. So I'm just going to continue pushing this around, get set up for the snake, and then we'll get some charcoal started. Okay, so to get the snake started, I've got 2 handfuls of charcoal in the bottom of my chimney starter. I'm going to get a tumbleweed out, fire it up, put the charcoal down on top of that, and then in 10 to 15 minutes those beads are going to be screaming hot and they're going to be ready to tip onto the front end of my snake. Okay, our charcoal is nice and hot here. We're going to get this snake started. I'm just going to tip these hot charcoals straight onto the front of our snake here. Just like that. And that's going to start our fuse. I'm going to set the bottom vents of this Weber. We're going to leave it wide open for now, as you can see. Later in the cook, it's going to come back and it's going to be just a touch open like this, maybe even less. But for now, while it's warming up, we're going to leave them wide open. Okay, so the last thing we've got to do before we throw the meat on this is we've got to get some smoke wood on there. I've got to get the heat deflector back in the barbecue, and I've got to get a temperature probe set up and the grill grates back in, and then I'm going to let the barbecue sit for about 15-20 minutes. Obviously I'm putting a whole bunch of cold steel back in there, so it's going to suck a little bit of the temperature out of the barbecue, but in 15 or 20 minutes that will recover nicely and we'll be ready to cook. Okay, well, we've got some smoke rolling on the new Weber. It's coming up to temperature. Just going to give it about 10 or 15 minutes to level out now that I've put all of that cold equipment back inside it. And while that's happening, it's tradition around here. Let's crack a beer when we light the pit. Cheers. Okay, so here we are at the cutting board. We've got these absolutely beautiful St. Louis spare ribs. They're beautifully squared up already by the butcher. They're nice, thick, meaty ribs. I love the St. Louis. They're a good size rack, and yeah, who doesn't love a good size rack? So we're going to get into unwrapping these. We're going to pat them dry with some paper towels. Then we're going to get them rubbed with a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to get some seasoning on them. So stick around. Okay, so one of the first things we've got to do with these ribs is we've got to get the membrane off the bottom side of them. This is the shiny, silvery skin looking piece of It's like skin. It's very difficult to chew through once the ribs are cooked. You're not going to enjoy it. So we're going to pull it off, and it's not an easy thing, but I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks on how we can do that easily. Okay, so what we can do with this membrane is, my favourite thing to use is a nice little butter knife, and you're going to come in and you're just going to find a spot where you can get underneath it. It's pretty easy sometimes, it's not too hard. You can see I'm just working the knife up under there. Be very careful not to split the membrane, because once it's split it can be really difficult. And we're just going to pull up. That's given me a thumb start. And here I'm going to get my thumb under there now and start working along. Got the first part off. And now it pays to get some paper towels, because it's quite slippery stuff. So I'll get in here with a paper towel. And if you're lucky, which I look like I'm lucky today, this is going to come off in one perfect strip. Okay, the next part of this is just to check up on any pieces that we're not happy with. Make sure it's trimmed up to a way we like it. One of the things I like to check is, you can see stuff hanging off the side here. That's all just going to burn up in the cook, so off that comes. I'm going to check the rest of this rack. See this really sharp rib here? It's actually not going to do us any favors. There's no meat here. It's just like half a rib that's been left on by the butcher. So I'm actually going to take that rib off, because that's all that's going to do is cause me pain in the cook. You can see how much bigger the rack is without this little half rib on there. Alright, she's looking beautiful. I must say, the butchers have done a really good job of this. There's not really anything else I'm going to want to take off. I mean, this is just a beautiful rack of ribs. Ready for seasoning, ready for the barbecue. So let's get to seasoning. Okay, so today I'll be using a mixture of my Texas Gold, you know it from my previous cook, and today I'll be also using some Killer Hogs The Barbecue Rub. And those of you who know me, you know I'm going to come back with some black pepper. So we're going to start things off just with a little light dusting of the Pork Mafia Texas Gold. Not too heavy. This is just going to give me some nice mustardy flavors in the background. Give us something to start, a little base flavor. That will do. And I'm going to come in with the barbecue rub, and this is one of my favorite rubs. It's got all sorts of sweet, savory notes. It's got color. It's going to make these ribs look absolutely amazing. Get the edges. Okay. Now I'm going to let that sit that side for about 10 minutes so it all sticks. Then we're going to come back and do the same to the top side. Okay, so as you can see, that rub is stuck and melted into the meat now. And it means I can flip it over and I can rub the top side of the meat now. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit more olive oil, just to give me some more stick, some of it absorbed into the board. There we go. And we're going to repeat the process. Oh yeah, now that's a good looking rack of ribs. And I'm just going to let these ribs sit out on the chopping board for about 20 minutes to half an hour to absorb all that flavour, get all that good colour going. Then we're going to get them on the barbecue. Stick around. Okay, the pit's up to about 250 Fahrenheit, which means it's time to get the ribs on. You can see there I've got a nice heavy smoke rolling. I only want that heavy smoke for the first hour of the cook. After that it's just not going to help anything. Okay, we're ready to put those ribs on the barbecue. It's important to make sure you don't just throw these down any old which way. They will cook the way you set them on the barbecue, so make sure you shape them up the way that you like. Okay, we're out here at the pit and it's been about an hour on cook so far. And we're going to check these ribs, make sure they're not getting too dry, give them a little spritz with some apple cider vinegar, and keep that smoke rolling. Okay, here we are with the potato salad. So we're going to start by chopping up the potatoes into nice bite-sized chunks. Get them ready to go into a pot of hot, salty water. Don't forget to salt the water. Come back and do the same to your spring onions. Chop them up nice and fine. Get the bacon chopped up. I'm using about 400 grams of streaky bacon here. Get it into a nice hot pan. Start to get the sizzle on. You should smell what I'm smelling. Add to that the spring onions and a tablespoon of curry powder. Get that all mixed up nicely, get that sizzling away. The smell will be amazing. Coming back in now with about a cup of mayonnaise, and to that I'm going to add the same amount, another cup of sour cream. I suggest you use a good mayonnaise here. The sweet stuff just doesn't work for this. Right, we're going to mix that up, add 1 more tablespoon of curry powder to the mixture. You can add more if you like, but this is around what I like to do. A squeeze of lemon will give it a little bit of bite and really pick up those flavors. Makes it really, really tasty. We're ready for a bit of salt and pepper, and then we're going to add our potatoes. They're steaming hot. I'm going to get them straight into the pot. Be careful when you're stirring these up. You don't want to mash them. You want to keep them nice and shapely. Transfer to a nice serving bowl, and I like to finish it off with a nice sprinkle of chives. There we go, Mamma Sutton's famous potato salad. Okay, to make this slaw, it's real easy. You're going to need half a cabbage, you need half a carrot, you need a nice cob of corn, a red apple, and then some grated cheddar cheese, a jar of real mayonnaise, some chipotle hot sauce, and some apple cider vinegar to cap things off. Now I've got the corn out on the little Kamado Joe Classic. I've got some nice char on it. It's ready to get back inside and get into the slaw. So I'm going to slice up this cabbage really fine. The finer you can get it, the better here, guys. If it's chunky, it's just not that good in a coleslaw. So let's get this done. Next up with the apple, I'm going to slice that up nice and fine, julienne it if you can, however you like it in your coleslaw. I like a few chunks. I like to taste that apple, the sweetness when I bite into it. Same again with the carrot, slice that up, chop it up any way you like. You can grate it if you want. Throwing all that into a bowl, and now I'm going to add a cup of mayonnaise to the mix. I'm coming back in also on top of that with a big glug of that chipotle hot sauce. I'll probably add a bit more later, to be honest. And then the cup of grated cheddar cheese goes in on top, followed by just a nice little slug of apple cider vinegar. Mix that all up, get that all mixed in. That's starting to taste real good. Now I'm back inside with my corn. I'm just going to take this off the cob. You guys never done this before? My God, it's good in a coleslaw. It's good in anything, but man, is it good in coleslaw. Get that into the mix. Give it one final mix around. Transfer it into a plastic container. Put some cling film on top and get that into the fridge. Okay, so these ribs have been out on the barbecue for about 3 hours now, smoking away. I've been spritzing them every 45 minutes with that apple cider water solution, and they are looking absolutely perfect. I want that colour to be bang on. It's looking just nice. Got a lot of juice on top there, and I just know that it's time to wrap these ribs. Right, so they're going straight down, meat side down, onto a little layer of butter here, guys. This is going to help with the rendering process. I'm going to come back with the spritz bottle, get a really good spritz on there to get some moisture inside that package. They're going to be wrapped up for about an hour here, so here we go. Get those sides up, get it wrapped up nice and tight in foil, and it's time to get it back on the barbie. Okay, to make this barbecue sauce, I'm starting off with a cup of water. And to that water I'm adding half of a stock cube. To that I'm adding good shake of the Pork Mafia Texas Gold. And I'm adding the same amount of water of the Killer Hogs, the barbecue sauce. Sorry, the vinegar sauce. And a knob of butter. Okay, we're going to give that a good stir up. Bring it up to a nice sizzle. Get it bubbling away, just like that. Let it simmer, reduce the heat, let it simmer for about 10 or 15 minutes. We're looking to reduce that down by about half. Okay, after about 10 minutes, the sauce is just beautiful. It's a very thin sauce. I'm going to use it for serving the ribs. We're going to use the actual barbecue sauce for basting the ribs, but this is just going to be a beautiful pouring sauce to put over the top of those ribs. Okay, so our ribs have been wrapped in foil for about an hour now. I'm going to have to open the lid, see how tender they are, and then we'll look to get them inside, unwrap them, get some sauce on there. We're almost done cooking. Okay, so what I'm looking for with these ribs now, they've been in foil for about an hour. I'm checking for flexibility. I can pick them up and you can see they're just sagging in the middle. These ribs are ready. Okay, so we're back at the cutting board and these ribs have been wrapped up in foil for the best part of an hour. We're now 4 hours into this rib cook. I've been going very low and very slow, the way I like to do it. So without further ado, we're going to unwrap these ribs, have a quick look at them. We're going to get some sauce on them, get them back on the barbecue for another 15 minutes, and that's us. Ooh, the smell in here is amazing. Do not lose this juice. Alright, well as you can see the ribs are looking amazing, but let's be honest, they need a bit of colour. On we go with the ribs. Okay, we've got the ribs all painted up with some nice vinegar sauce. Close the lid for 15 minutes. They're going to be beautiful. To make my Whisky Manhattan today, I'm going to go with something a little bit different. I'm going to be using this Cubocken. It's a single malt Highland Scotch. Normally I'd be using something like a rye or a Tennessee whiskey, but today I feel like something a little bit smoky. Double measure. I'll be doing a single measure of sweet vermouth. Okay, we're adding a couple of good lugs of bitters to the mix. Filling up the glass with ice now. And then we're going to give it a good old shake around. Finishing off with a little slice of lemon, little twist just to give it a little bit of bounce. And she's going to be absolutely delicious. Alright, it's time for a taste of this Whisky Manhattan. Oh yeah, that's so good. That's going to go so well with the ribs. It's got a little bit of sweetness from the vermouth. I'm glad I chose the Cubocken, that Highlands. It's got a little bit of smoke to it, that whiskey, and it's going to go well with those smoky ribs. Because it's got nothing too sweet, because it's got no mix, it's got no soda. It's just going to be nice and refreshing on the palate. Cut through the big heavy smoke, cut through the fat, and it's just going to be perfect with this dish. Okay, it's been about 4.5 hours. These ribs are looking absolutely beautiful. I wish you could smell them. They've been on the smoke for about 3.5 hours. Then we got them wrapped up in foil for another hour. They've come out, they've been painted with barbecue sauce and sat back on the barbecue for about 15 or 20 minutes. Man, that looks like a seriously tasty rack of ribs. Let's get to cutting. Okay, so we're going to come in here and take the very first rib off. This is down the end of the rib, and it's the thickest, juiciest rib. Now check this out. I mean, it's not often you see a rib like that. Look at the juice in there. It is absolutely just dripping with moisture. There's a beautiful smoke ring on there. We've absolutely nailed this cook. Let me cut up a few more ribs now. And now we're going to choose a tasting rib. I've got my eye on this one from the center here. It is absolutely just looking beautiful. I can't wait. Alright guys, it's been a long day. This ribs, they've taken 4 hours, maybe even a little bit more. It's been a labor of love. You know, 3 hours on the smoke, an hour in foil to soften them up, and then about 15-20 minutes of just giving them a nice little baste with that barbecue sauce. And I'm just going to come back and give one a taste without anything extra on it, just straight off the rack, ready to go. Let's do it. This one right here has got my name on it. It just looks phenomenal. And I'm going to come right in on this side here and just... Oh man. I can't explain to you the flavour. That beautiful smoke, the juice. It's tender, but it's not mushy. It's not just turning to mush in my mouth. I have to chew it, which is perfect. Barbecue sauce, pepper, mustard. Everything's perfect on this rib, man. It just is. It doesn't get much better. Okay, here we're going to make up a little serving board. This is what I like to do. Get a spoonful of that potato salad over here. That looks fantastic. A nice spoon of coleslaw. And then we're going to come straight in here with some beautiful ribs. Just like that. Come back over the top with some green onions. Alright team, it's been one hell of a day. I've got this amazing looking board here to eat. I've got the Mum's famous potato salad. I've got a simple chipotle slaw which was quick and easy to knock up. Got a nice little pickle down the front here. I've got the star of the show, these big St. Louis cut spare ribs, which I just can't wait to tuck into. I've got a little pot of that barbecue sauce that I mixed up earlier. I'm going to tip that over the top. Oh. I've got my Whisky Manhattan, and the final piece of all of this, of course, is blues. And I'm going to send this out today with the cream. Right, well that was one hell of a cook today. I tell you what, it's one of the best lunches I've had in quite some time. I wish you could have been there to eat it with me. Well, that's all I've got time for this week, guys, but I can't wait to get back to cooking again with you very soon. Please leave me a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you'd like me to cook, let me know the things that you'd like to see, give me some tips on how to make these videos better. I'm still working with some super amateur gear right now, and I just know I'm struggling a little bit. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see you next time. Ironbark out.